This is the dark truth of the deadly record label boss, Suge Knight. Suge Knight, the Hitman. Yo, check this out, because we dive into the biggest mystery in hip-hop history. Who dropped Tupac Shakur like it's hot? Picture this, on the fateful night of Tupac's assassination, the legendary rapper and his record label boss, his main man Suge Knight, got into a real tiff with Orlando Anderson, some Southside Crips rep from Compton. Now, Orlando had sticky fingers and was out here swiping a death row medallion from Trevor Lane, who happened to be rolling with Suge Knight's death row label. So when Trayvon peeped Orlando flying solo, he put a drop on his location, and Suge Knight, Tupac, and their death row goons went swinging on Orlando. Tupac, bless his heart, threw the first punch in that wild showdown, and in no time, 5 men were giving Orlando the whooping of a lifetime. Little did Tupac know, just a mere 3 hours after giving Orlando a taste of his fist, he would meet his dark fate. After the street beatdown, Suge Knight and Tupac decided to catch a match with Mike Tyson brawling it out with Bruce Seldon. But after the brawl, on their way out, Suge decided that he wanted to be the wheelman, with Tupac riding shotgun in a swanky BMW 750 sedan. They were on the move, passing by the MGM Grand Hotel in Caesar's Palace, headed for a hot night spot when all hell broke loose. Fast forward to about 11 p.m. that same crazy night, Suge Knight slammed the brakes right outside the MGM Grand Hotel. And wouldn't you know it, a white Cadillac rolled up next to them, all quiet and sneaky, before it started spitting bullets. Now here's where it gets crazy. Usually Suge and Tupac roll with a crew in the car, but on that night, they were riding solo. Word on the street was that Suge cooked up a scheme, throwing off the scent of the investigators. Suge had some boys pretend they were causing chaos. But the real shocker, them bullets that took Tupac out came from inside their own ride, not some drive-by. The hospital tagged it as a respiratory failure and cardiopulmonary arrest, but the truth was a darker tale. The craziest part of this was that Suge, sitting on the wrong side of the ride, only got scratched by a bullet. And that wasn't all of it. The rumor mill was buzzing saying Suge set up Tupac to keep that music money for himself. And then, in a twist that hit harder than a mic drop, Suge spun the story to put the Notorious B.I.G. in the hot seat. People ate it up, seeing Biggie as the hit orchestrator behind the drive-by. It was easy to believe, especially since he had a past run-in with Tupac 2 years before the incident. Suge Knight takes out the Notorious B.I.G. Suge Knight, crafty as ever, tried to seal those tracks with another twist, allegedly pulling off another hit on the Notorious B.I.G. It was only 6 months after Tupac passed away, and Notorious B.I.G. ended up 6 feet under. It looked like the perfect gang retaliation setup, and Suge Knight's name was spelled all over it. So let's take it back to the eve of March 9th, 1997, when the rap game was wild and the streets were hotter than a summer block party. Notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie, the man himself, was in the middle of it all. Biggie and his crew were rolling through the city after blowing up a party. And guess what? They even had some cops rolling with them. Now that's some high-level VIP treatment right there. So there they were, Biggie's SUV at a red light, just chilling like true OGs, and out of nowhere, a dark Impala popped up on them, and as the window slid down, BAM! A 9mm pistol pops and shots start flying. 4 bullets hit Biggie, and just like that, he was taken out right there at the traffic stop. Immediately, the news of Biggie's hit went viral. The streets were buzzing like crazy, and every hip-hop head had their theory. People called it a retaliation following the death of Tupac, and they couldn't help but point fingers at Suge Knight. Suge was in a real cooked up situation, as even the FBI and top detectives accused him of ordering the hit on the Notorious B.I.G. Was Biggie's attack some payback for Tupac's passing? Did Suge Knight, the West Coast puppet master, orchestrate the drama? Man, the suspense was real. Investigations began, and Phil Carson, the street-savvy investigator, was dropping truth bombs like they were hot tracks. Carson was spilling tea left and right, saying Suge Knight was pulling the strings with his fat stacks. Yeah, you heard that right, funding hits like he's dropping beats. Suge Knight's financed the murder, Carson told a news outlet. Suge was ticked off that his cash cow Tupac was murdered. Suge had an accountant that was part of Death Row Records who helped do the financial side of things to pay for the murders. This wild tale got even more twisted when a dirty cop got mixed up. David Mack, a crooked LAPD officer, was accused of planning an informant in Biggie's crew. Mac was also accused of having his associate, Amir Muhammad, pull the trigger that took down Biggie. Word on the street was Suge slid him 13 grand to make sure Biggie never made it out of the vehicle alive. Suge Knight takes out Eazy-E. Man, listen up, because this story is about to take you on a wild ride through the darkest truth of Suge Knight. Now, Suge Knight wasn't just playing with beats and rhymes, he was playing with lives, and he was out to prove he was the meanest dog in the yard, and one of his targets was Eazy-E. Eazy-E, co-founder of Ruthless Records, had some serious talent under his wing like the one and only Dr. Dre. Dre was Eazy-E's golden goose, dropping beats that had the streets buzzing, but Suge Knight, who was just starting his label, locked his eyes on that golden goose, ready to snatch it away. Suge stood up to Dre with promises sweeter than candy, telling him, leave Ruthless, come to Death Row, and I'll make you a star like no other. But Dre was locked down by contracts, shackled to Ruthless, and couldn't just up and go. So Suge, he rolled up to Eazy-E's office with a crew packing baseball bats and crowbars. Suge and his goons laid a beat down on Eazy-E, showing him what being ruthless really meant. Suge even pulled out a piece of paper with Eazy-E's mama's address on it, talking about, I know where your mama stays. Eazy-E had no choice but to let Dr. Dre go so that he could keep his mother alive, but he plotted vengeance. Jerry Heller, Eazy-E's manager, had to step in, talking him out of taking matters to his own hands. Heller claimed that Eazy-E said, you know this guy Suge Knight? Well, I'm gonna kill him. This guy is gonna be a problem and I think I should kill him. Thanks to Heller, Eazy-E didn't follow through with his plans. But here's where it gets really dark. Eazy-E would come to wish that he took out Suge Knight, as Suge allegedly hired someone to inject Eazy-E with a virus that caused his death. Fast forward to 1995, Eazy-E was feeling sick, thinking it's asthma, but it was way worse. He was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and it had taken him down badly. He released a statement, raw and real, from his hospital bed saying, now I'm in the biggest fight of my life, and it ain't easy. The statement continued by saying, but I want to say much love to those who have been down with me, and thanks for all your support. Remember, it's your real time and your real life. Eazy-E tied the knot with his lady, Tamika Woods, just 2 days before he left this world. But here's where Suge Knight's dark truth is revealed. On Jimmy Kimmel's show in 2003, Suge dropped a bombshell, slyly suggesting that Eazy-E was injected with AIDS. While talking about how to get away with killing people, Suge Knight said, so they got this new thing out that people sell all the time. They got this stuff that's called, they get blood from somebody with AIDS.
This is a new thing, right?
Yeah.
See, if somebody gonna do something about it, see, technology is so high, right?
Right.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out that people sell them all the time. They got this stuff to call, they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh,
so
well, that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
An easy thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
Suge Knight sentenced to 28 years in prison. While many think these may all be speculations and Suge Knight didn't actually take out Eazy-E, Tupac, and Biggie, Suge made it believable after he was sentenced to 28 years in prison for running two men over with a truck twice. On January 29, 2015, Suge Knight rolled up and straight up ran his truck into two dudes. One dude's life got snatched right there, and the other ended up with injuries to his head and ankles. Terry Carter, who lost his life, used to be tight with Suge, but that friendship took a dark turn. See, Suge Knight, he was all up in an argument with Terry Carter and Clee Sloan, and it was no chit-chat. This was after some heat on the set of Straight Outta Compton, the movie. While the two guys walked away from the argument, Suge trailed them into a burger joint parking lot, where he stirred up the fight again. Suge drove his truck into the two men like he was driving out of the burger joint, and after hitting them once, he backed up on them a second time before speeding off. Now, Suge was going to claim self-defense, but the eyewitnesses didn't let him. According to the bystanders, ain't nobody was in no danger and no threats were flying around. Suge just showed up in his pickup truck thinking he was in a demolition derby, and bam, them two dudes were in a ride they didn't sign up for. The law didn't let him get away with this one. Fast forward a bit, and Suge Knight sitting in a courtroom going through a 3-year trial saga. And guess what? As the hammer dropped, Suge got 28 years in the joint. Suge was 53 when he got hit with the sentence, and he was straight up telling the court, I ain't trying to beat my maker behind bars. But guess what? That's where he's at, kicking it at RJ Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego. They say he won't be breathing that free air till October 2034. And let's just say, ain't no VIP pass gonna speed that up. So my homies, next time you're talking about Suge Knight, remember this ain't no sugar-coated tale. This is that gritty, real deal gangster drama that keeps life in the hip-hop world rolling on. all the juicy details of all rap gangsters and drama drop on this channel. So subscribe and stay tuned, y'all. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and turn on post notifications.